supporter of the Attorney General. How are you today?
I'm hanging in, buddy. Hanging in.
You sound strong, but it's important for people who watch us each week to remember that Larry needs our support, and it only comes from the sponsorship of viewers. People can visit Larry's webpage, nicholslive.com. I want to compliment you, Larry. Beautiful upgrade to nicholslive.com. It now features a handsome graphic of the basically tattered U.S. Constitution. And people can click on the donate tab and they can find all of Larry's sponsorship links in there. Easiest way is to go to paypal.com and using Larry's PayPal address, nicholslive@aol.com, you can send Larry some money. You can also stick a few dollars in an envelope and mail it. Cash only, please, Larry requests. Mail him there in Conway, Arkansas. If none of these things are satisfactory, Larry provides a phone number. You can contact Mary Ellen. But it is important that Larry has our support. He's joining me every week. And even if you're only entertained by Larry, if you're watching, get over to nicholslive.com. Show Larry a little love. Help him with his medical needs, his day-to-day needs. This is what Larry is doing to earn a living. So, Larry, what have you got for us today? Lots of interesting things happening.
Well, yeah, there's kind of, it appears out there to many people that there's a break in the action. Of course, it's the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. So a lot of activity in Washington has slowed down, but there's much going on. And I guess one case of interest, I've just finished a call dealing with Barr's investigation into the Epstein death.
Right.
Now, he scared a lot of people this past weekend when he, in some speech he was making, made a statement that it was a perfect storm of screw-ups. That's what it looked like. Folks, let me tell you, Attorney General Barr is bound by the law. He's not doing like Holder. He's not doing like Comey or Lynch or any of these other people. He is bound by the law. So what he has to do is be very straightforward and not bend anything, not put a spin on it.
Right.
So at this point in the investigation, what he must say based off what is laying in front of him, very important that you understand, based off what's laying in front of him as of this moment or when he made that speech, that it looks like the perfect storm of screw-ups. Now, I do know that they have viewed some 8 hours from a camera. This was not a camera inside the cell. This was a camera that could see the entrance of the cell that he was in. And for 8 hours, they viewed every minute of it. No one entered that cell. No one came or left. There was no traffic in front of that cell. They are sending that video, Jason, to forensics to check the date stamp on it, time stamp on it,
Right.
to authenticate that video. But now that video has been entered into the court record. So if it stands scrutiny, that's going to be significant, guys. It's going to be significant.
Larry, when you mention the court record, are you talking about in this case of the guards who are now on trial?
Yes. Exactly what I mean.
Right. That was interesting, Larry, because that was really the public's first indication that there was any kind of ongoing investigation. And, there's always this feeling that when we don't hear about things, obviously the Justice Department is more concerned with doing what they're doing than necessarily giving us all the information. But this was quite interesting. The MCC prison guard just 5 days ago said she's willing to dish on the Epstein death and cooperate with the Inspector General probe. So that's talking about an Inspector General probe. That's going to be separate from her criminal trial where she's being charged with conspiracy with the other guard. It's an interesting case.
Yes, it is. And at this point, those two guards are either in great danger or in a position to solve the whole case. It's a tough place they're in.
Yeah.
If it was, as the Attorney General at that moment perceived, it was just a perfect storm of screw-ups, then they've got legal issues and legal problems. And their defense attorney is claiming that they're scapegoats, that they're the lowest things on the totem pole. And if you're going to penalize somebody, penalize the prison system for putting them in such a weak position where they're overworked and exhausted, and they shouldn't have been there, so it's no wonder they were asleep at the wheel, whatever. That's their defense.
Right.
But that woman put a whole different slant to it when she somewhat indicated that she would help with the investigation, and it's got everybody baffled. Does she mean she knows something about the death other than what we all know? I mean, what is she talking about? What is she talking about giving up?
Well, it sounds like she might be getting a vacation in Arkansas based on the past record.
Well, I will say this: if he was assassinated, and these guards were in the least way just paid to step aside or do whatever, I wouldn't want to be them, because they are going to be most likely suffering from Arkansas.
It's interesting. Larry, I mean, again, I think a lot of people who watch our show are very skeptical of William Barr, given his background. And when a comment like this comes out, that it's a perfect storm of screw-ups, it sounds, at least preliminarily, like he's making excuses for people like the New York City medical examiner who did not follow procedure. I mean, you'd think after the guy is dead, you'd say, oh, whoa, let's put on the brakes here. There have been a lot of screw-ups that led to his death. Let's make sure this autopsy happens by the book. We need photos of the body. We need a DNA test. I've learned since my conversation with Dr. Michael Baden, during which he revealed that he was unaware of any DNA test, and that a DNA test on a dead body is not necessarily standard procedure, that normally a family member is just identifying the body. Since then, it's come out in a separate broadcast that there were people who were autopsied in the Las Vegas shooting who did get DNA tested. So that's very strange. We've heard basically the people who were killed in Las Vegas were just random victims. Why would they DNA test one of them, but not DNA test somebody as potentially important as Jeffrey Epstein? So a lot of weird things surrounding this.
Yeah, now I might add something that your audience may not know, but Attorney General Barr has an independent investigator looking into the inconsistent practices of not only the medical examiner, but of everything post his death. That's not publicized. I don't think people know about it, but he is. He's very concerned. Were there process crimes committed? And if so, if it's negligent or if it's purposeful, whatever, I think I would not want to be that medical examiner. If she failed to do right in accordance with the law, I got to think that she's in trouble. Because he has assigned somebody to that investigation specifically. Maybe I wasn't supposed to put that out, but I don't know that that should be deemed a secret, should it?
I don't think so. And certainly if she's done something inappropriate, I mean, she should be removed as the medical examiner of New York City. we've spoken extensively, Larry, on this show about some of the screwy shenanigans that medical examiners sometimes get up to. And it's the key, really, when you look at the Clintons' rise to power, all the things that they did in furtherance of the Stevens wishes, etc. Throughout the decades they were politically active in Arkansas. Controlling Fannie Malek and having that medical examiner in your pocket is literally the key to getting away with murder, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Everything starts or stops right there. You get a good medical examiner on the hook, and guess what, folks? You have to understand what's different, Jason. We're talking about Epstein, right?
Yeah.
High-profile case. So, yeah, people could say, well, maybe they botched the autopsy, maybe they didn't do this. But now, let's talk about an autopsy of somebody that maybe was involved in dirty politics and ended up getting killed over it. But it's a nobody. Nobody's going to come around and check the medical examiner's report for perfection. Did they do it right?
Yeah. Most people aren't even going to know what they're looking at when they see a medical examiner's report.
And I remember with the Ron Brown death, when the two medical examiners from the military came to my home and brought me the picture of him on the slab, the x-rays and so forth. They had a compelling case that Ron Brown did not die in that plane crash.
Yep.
He didn't. He had a hole in the top of his head that was a perfect diameter to a 45 caliber pistol, and you could follow the snowflakes, which is the little tracings when a bullet goes through the body, and you could actually find the slug in the groin. Whoa. They had it. There it is. It's all there. Matter of fact, I even gave the picture of the hole in the head to Chris Ruddy, and Chris Ruddy put it on the internet to where I guess you can still find it today.
Yeah, Jack Cashel included it in his book.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did they get by with that? That was the military, and they were scared to death. They were being ordered to roll over. They were being ordered to roll over, and it was because I had so much visibility in that day fighting the Clintons that they came to me, and they were scared to death. Man and a woman, they were scared. But they wanted the truth out. And I did the best I could to get it out. But the official report on Ron Brown's death and the actual way it shows up in the real x-rays, etc., does not jive, as is the case with the lady sergeant that was on the plane that died. I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah, it was like Terry Sherry or something really unusual like that.
But she was on the plane, and in that kind of a junket, she was more like a stewardess than an NCO. But anyway, when the plane crashed, when the first responders got there, she was sitting on a stump, crying. That's what these guys, the medical people, told me. The medical thing. She was sitting on the stump, and she was crying, bent over, head in her hand. They led her she walked, they led her to the helicopter. She got on the helicopter, sat down, and then they flew back to the base. When they got to the base, she was dead. When they did the autopsy, her brainstem was severed. Right. I saw the picture of it. It was severed right where, in military terms, if you grab somebody's chin in the back of the head and you twist real fast, you snap the brainstem. Well, with that injury, they told me, which I knew, I think anybody would know, with that injury, you don't sit on the stump crying, and you don't walk to the helicopter.
Right. This was Tech
what
Sergeant
happened in that helicopter ride?
Sorry, Larry. Tech Sergeant Shelley Kelly.
That's it, Shelley Kelly. Yes, sir. It's all about, I saw the x-ray.
And what happened in the helicopter? They snapped her neck.
Something happened. I don't think the helicopter reported having a crash. I don't think they hit a thunderstorm so bad that it shook her up in the helicopter and snapped her neck? You? I mean, maybe it did. I guess they'd claim that. Why not? They claim
So,
anything they want to.
I don't think so.
But don't you see? Why was that not made public? And dear God, I was trying. Did you know nobody even asked me, other than Ruddy, nobody ever even asked me how on earth, me in Conway, Arkansas, how I ended up with autopsy pictures. You know that? Nobody.
I
No
think I
government
asked you that.
official.
Now, Larry, there's something else very
I'm talking about a
strange.
government official.
Right. They knew the answer already. There's something else very strange about this. There was I forget what his role was in the Ron Brown autopsy, but Craig Malik, who's currently the chief medical examiner in Broward County, he was present for the Ron Brown autopsy. Now, I'm looking at his credentials here. It says JD, MD. Now, does JD mean Juris Doctorate? Is this guy a lawyer and a pathologist? Because that's interesting if true.
But he got me. I don't know.
So here, it says he assisted with war crimes investigations in Kosovo. And this crash took place in Kosovo, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Bosnia, Kosovo, one.
Right. Well, he was present for this medical examination of Ron Brown, and it certainly sounds like one of these events that, if you cooperate, you might graduate to a very lucrative position like chief medical examiner of Broward County.
Mm-hmm. It pays off to be crooked.
Right.
I can prove that. I live that. I know it does. But I know it don't do so good being straight. But crooked, you can do well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we got it. And JD is a Juris Doctorate, as far as I know. I don't know that there's any other abbreviation. It's unusual for someone to be both a doctor and a lawyer, but that would be very helpful as a medical examiner to understand some of the nuances and subtleties of statutes of limitation, things that can be done versus, certainly lawyers have a lot of knowledge about how to break the law or how to sidestep the law that your average civilian doesn't have.
So, when you say what's of interest today, the Epstein thing, I think, is of interest. I think it's significant, and it will come to pass. I cannot say at this moment in time that anybody's going to find out. Well, let me address one other thing. To the people that, because of his statement, perfect storm, screw-ups, etc., have lost faith or still don't have faith in the bar. All I can tell you is wait until the 9th through the 11th. And I think you will feel better.
You mean the release of the OIG report?
Well, that plus some other stuff that's coming.
Before we move off of this Dr. Malik, sorry to interrupt you, Larry, but before we move off of Dr. Malik, whose name is coincidentally very similar to the doctor in Arkansas, although it's spelled differently, I found this article here on something called Florida Bulldog, watchdog news you can sink your teeth into. I'm not sure when this was released, but the headline reads that Broward's medical examiner's evidence policy worries prosecutors and defense lawyers. And this is interesting because it speaks directly to what we were just speculating about, the concept of a medical examiner with a Juris Doctorate. It would be someone who would be in a unique position to frustrate lawyers by making changes to his own policies that might make unraveling something or covering something easier or more difficult, depending on what it was done. The article tells us the Broward County medical examiner has been destroying some tissue and blood samples after they are a year old. A policy defense attorneys and prosecutors say could affect untold numbers of criminal cases. Dr. Craig Malik told the Florida Bulldog he instituted the policy shortly after taking Broward's chief medical examiner position in 2012. He says the rule helps ease the office's overcrowded evidence storage. That's interesting, isn't it, Larry? If you've got some case that's rolling around in 2012 that you need to destroy some evidence for, seems like this is your guy.
And I would imagine destroying tissue samples really opened up a lot of room in the evidence closet.
I would think so. That's unbelievable.
But, Jason, now you're learning more about why I don't trust any of it. I'm sorry, I don't. You have to be where I was. You have to have seen what I have seen. You have to know what I know to see how this all works on the inside and how people in power, people with influence and power, with virtual ease, Jason, can do things you and I could never even dream of.
Right.
I mean, they can walk away from things that would put us in jail.
Absolutely.
Well, they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we did what she did, there's no doubt.
It's really stunning stuff, Larry. Now, let me just shift you into another story for a moment, because, you and I have covered extensively Adam Schiff's ridiculous hearings, which ended last week. Just before you and I went live here, I noticed that the Epoch Times is telling us that Gerald Nadler has just announced the House Judiciary is going to be taking over with this impeachment hearing. Can you speak about this, Larry? How does this differ from standard procedures in impeaching a president?
Well, nothing that has gone on has been within the standards of the impeachment process that has been exhibited historically. Nothing. I was in a meeting or a call this morning dealing with that issue. And the assumption is at this point that it is the proper chain of command, I guess you would say, for the inquiry, summary, or recommendation for impeachment trial to come from the Judiciary Committee, not from the Intelligence Committee.
Right.
So this, as near as anybody can figure that I have been with, that should very well know, this seems to be more of a setup transfer more than, something, sketchy about it. Now, however, two things happened this weekend. Number one, Pelosi, we have this solid evidence. Pelosi unloaded on the ship. I mean, unloaded on me.
I missed that. What
And
did
told me, she told him he better pull this impeachment out of his ass or he's gone. Her word. Her word. And they're getting ready to pull. Remember I told you, Schiff had prepared 3 scandal scenarios, screenplays, whatever you want to call them. He had prepared 3. Of course, Russia. Quid pro quo, or whatever it is now. But there's a third. And they are fixing to trigger the third scandal against the president.
What's that going to be?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I know enough that I can tell you and it be right. And I don't want to tell you if it's not.
Okay, sure.
But it's another variation. It's another variation. Well, it's another country. Another country where something else is being alleged. And it has to do with the Middle East. I can go that far.
Probably Saudi Arabia or Yemen.
say, and certainly so I can't say, but I can tell you it's once again designed. This time they're going to show him to be, in their words, they're going to show him to be not only committing a crime against something, but that he is mentally unstable.
Oh.
This is what they were going to do, if you'll recall, a few months back. There was sort of a flurry, if you'll remember, of activity about the 25th Amendment. You remember that?
Yes.
Well, it's coming.
They're not letting up, Larry. You know, this transfer from Adam Schiff to Gerald Nadler, I mean, it seems to me like that is being done to eliminate or sort of preempt any challenges that might be presented to Adam Schiff's process so far. We could basically anticipate that the president's lawyers are going to challenge the legitimacy of an impeachment process that begins in the Intelligence Committee rather than Judiciary Committee where it is supposed to begin. So they're sort of heading this off. I've said this so many times, Larry, and I don't mean for it to imply some sort of sense of self-importance, but I see nothing but parallels between the process that the president is being subjected to and the lawfare process that I am being subjected to. They're coming from the same playbook, and they're being played out by different operators. My point being, there are certain things that can happen in court and in the law where, let's take this impeachment process, for instance. We all know that it's not by the book, it can be challenged, etc. But the fact that it's underway, the challenge to it takes as much time, as much legal effort, and is basically the same as a legal defense. So it's one of these things where if the president came out and challenged it, he wouldn't get that result right away, and the hearings would go on and have the effect that Schiff wants them to have before the president could do anything about it. Much like my situation, where these lawsuits are based on fraudulent claims and the whole thing is basically a fraud. But in the process of proving that, the people who are bringing the lawsuit against me are achieving what they want, using my time. You know, they wanted me to waste a lot of money hiring lawyers. I've got to send things all around, print things out. I had to buy a laser printer. Larry, can I tell you something interesting? In the 20-something years that I ran my 3D production company, I mean, of course, we printed things, but it wasn't really the type of company where we were writing and printing a lot of things. We were doing work and producing movies. I have used more paper in the past 2 years dealing with these lawsuits than I used in the entire 23 years of running 21st Century 3D.
I know. It's what I told you they'd do. They'd white paper you to death.
Yes.
And that is a legal strategy.
And that's what they're using against the president.
Yeah, the problem Adam Schiff has, if they transfer this to Nadler, Schiff's promise of more hearings to come is over. It's over. If this case is transferred, essentially, I'm calling it a case, if this is transferred to Nadler, Schiff will not be able to continue with his crazy hearings.
Well, but Nadler will have crazy hearings.
Nadler will be able to do it.
Right.
But what they know is, and it's probably why they're doing this, just so that they're kind of dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And you're right, you know, they're just legally making sure that the impeachment referral comes from the right committee. They know Trump is absolutely adamant he wants the Senate trial. He and his attorneys are doing everything in their power to insist on it coming to the Senate.
Right.
And Schiff and Nadler, and that's what's got Pelosi all riled up. They're doing everything in their power to try to hone this thing down to where it does not do that. You see, if it goes to the Senate trial, Lindsey Graham, barring Mitch McConnell stabbing everybody in the back, which he's done many times.
Yeah.
Graham and others plan to make the rules of the Senate trial the same as the jurisprudence rules in the court. All right? They're going to make sure that President Trump gets to have his attorney, President Trump gets to depose witnesses, just like a courtroom. And just
Lindsey
like a
Graham
courtroom.
is a lawyer, right, Larry?
Yes,
Lindsey Graham
yes,
is a
he
lawyer.
is.
Yeah, so that's good.
And every hearsay person's going to be stricken. Every record that.
Right.
That's what's cool about going to trial. Everything Schiff has gathered will be not allowed in a Senate trial. So if he doesn't have what he had in the Senate trial, in his hearing, right?
Yeah.
If he cannot have one of his witnesses in the hearing brought into the trial, what case does Schiff have?
Nothing.
None.
Yeah.
But
We're all
here's
show
what
witnesses
Trump gets to
anyway.
do. Right, but here's what Trump gets to do. He gets, for the first time, to call Adam Schiff
Yeah.
about his connection to, guess what? The whistleblower. See, there's still much to be uncovered. Much to be uncovered that the Democrats are thinking they're going to slip in, get their lips on Trump, move on to the next scandal, and walk away. Kind of like they did with the Russia.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen this time. This time, let me give them some news. The administration is filing a lawsuit against CNN. They are filing a lawsuit for libel and slander, whichever one I can't remember, against CNN. They have them dead to right, telling lies that they knew were lies to the nation. All right? CNN's going to have a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. So is Nunes. Nunes is filing. And guess what? So is Rudy Giuliani. He's filing.
But
So
these are all
the
separate
Andy is
suits,
gonna
or
go-
they're together?
They're all separate. No, they're separate. They are separate. The president has determined he's not letting this go, Jason, because this, if he lets it go, he fears, and I think appropriately so, this can become the norm for politics in the future. One party doesn't like the guy that won, so they tie him up in never-ending impeachment inquiries.
Smear campaign.
Yeah, it's the way of the future, unless it gets stopped here, dead in its tracks. And so that's what they plan to do. And I'm telling you, Schiff has had the protection of separation of powers. You know, people are screaming, why doesn't Graham with his committee get Schiff in and interrogate him, right, or question him? Well, you can't. The Senate committee cannot subpoena or make a person in Congress come before his committee. Separation of powers. But in the Senate trial of the president, yes, they can be called in.
Now,
And they intend, maybe I'm giving something up that I shouldn't, they intend to bring Schiff in, and guess what? They intend to bring Pelosi in.
wow.
For what she knows about the whistleblower. And when did this start? We have proof, Jason. They have proof that the whole thing with the whistleblower, the quid pro quo, this whole second scandal started months before it was ever discovered, supposedly.
Right. Well, it's interesting because Adam Schiff has said that he will not testify. He's been pressing for John Bolton to testify, but he's come out and said he's not going to. Now, I don't believe that Adam Schiff necessarily has the final word on this, but it's interesting that that's what he's saying. CNN is reporting Schiff pushes Bolton to testify, but will not go to court to force him. Oh, sorry, this is different. I thought I had heard Adam Schiff say elsewhere that he's not going to testify. But again, that's just talk.
No, not in this. But now what, the reason, so you know, Schiff's not going to court to force Bolton to testify. And Schiff knows that, okay, the court could make Bolton come and testify. They can, or could.
Right.
But once testifying, Bolton can use presidential privilege on every question. He doesn't have to answer them. He doesn't have to answer a single question.
It seems like Bolton doesn't like Trump. He's been saying some things in public that, you know.
Bolton's mad at Trump.
Right.
Trump is mad at Bolton.
Yeah.
But they are connected in that they're both connected in principle, Jason. I don't see those two turning on each other aggressive. Oh, they'll kick fight or, you know, pick at each other, but they will not go against each other.
I don't trust John Bolton at all, and we might differ on that slightly. But let me point this out to you, Larry. USA Today is reporting just earlier this morning about how Devin Nunes' lawsuit, the threat, undermines Donald Trump's impeachment defense. And they go on to say that Nunes is not going to win, and in the long run, he may end up hurting the very man he's trying to protect. Now, my questions for Devin Nunes are, is he actually trying to protect the president, or is he just trying to make it look like that while he continues to do things to undermine the president? I think Devin Nunes' lawsuits that he's been bringing against McClatchy and Imaginary Cows are all extremely stupid and have virtually no chance of success.
I agree, but not this. This, I don't know what they're talking about, but the lawsuit Devin's bringing is a lawsuit specifically about something CNN said that he had done or was involved with. I can't go any further than that, but it's something specific to Nunes. His lawsuit is not connected to the president. I don't see it having any effect on the president's impeachment at all. Now, I would take also into account who wrote that article, what publication put that article out. I'm sure they'd like to see him back on.
Right, USA Today.
Yeah. See, I doubt that. I can just tell you, if there was a conflict between Nunes and what he's trying to do and the impeachment for the president, it would be resolved. He wouldn't do it if there was. But as of this day, as of 4 hours ago, there was not.
Right.
Well, they will not be joined.
Right. I mean, the only reason I raise it is because, you know, Nunes has made these comments in the past, in the recent past, with his lawsuit against Fusion GPS, proclaiming angrily that Glenn Simpson has smeared Bill Browder, and that's part of the reason for the lawsuit. But Bill Browder is not somebody that a true supporter of Donald Trump should be defending, and in fact, he's not somebody that a true supporter of America should be defending. And it brings me actually, Larry, to a question from Bear777 on Periscope. Bear is watching us on Periscope. I hope that people will go and subscribe on Periscope. I haven't been able to crack 5,000 on Periscope in the same time we've gotten to 86,000 on YouTube. But Bear wants to know, Larry, what, if anything, do you know about Brett Kimberlin? That would tie in to Browder and all this stuff in Ukraine. Do you know anything about Brett Kimberlin?
No, that's outside of anything I've been involved in. I do not know.
Speedway bomber and all that?
It's nothing I have had anything to do with, and I'd be out of line to speak to it because I don't know.
No problem. Let me go back to what we were talking about. So Devin Nunes has these lawsuits. The Trump administration has lawsuits. Someone thinks that's a bot asking that question. I think it's a valid question. But sorry, Larry, I didn't mean to derail you from what you were telling us about Nunes and the lawsuit.
Well, as you and I agree, Nunes has made a couple of serious mistakes with his other lawsuits. Probably the greatest being the legal team he's assembled to work with.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I did not ask it, but I will. I'm hoping that that same legal team is not involved in this. Would not be surprised if they are. And if they are, then I don't look for positive results. But it's coming. Listen, we're going to have our day, folks. Our day is coming. And President Trump is the one person in all of this country that I think the Democrats have totally underestimated his maybe anger is not the word, but he's not going to let this slide. He's not going to let any of this stuff they have done to him go unchallenged. He's not. And as he has said, it's not because of him. He has to put a stop to this now and forever, or it will become standard operating procedure in the future, if we have a country. In the future, that's what parties will do. You know, that's the bad thing about Washington, Jason. You know, when they learn a new trick, they keep using it.
Yeah.
They just keep using it.
Yep.
Until somebody comes up with another trick. So this has got to end. And this goes to the whole issue, to be quite honest, of trust in our government. We have never had as open and visible a display, Jason, duplicity in law, corruption within our government, the crony system in our government. The whole thing, believe it or not, is exposed. The deep state, if you want to call it that, all of that's being exposed for what it is, the direct connection, the direct open link between the DNC and the media. It's never all been displayed in big neon signs like it has now. So yeah, they're at a point where they can win. I agree to that.
Yeah.
If they beat President Trump, if they beat him, if somehow they get him out before the election or defeat him in the election, yeah, we've lost it all.
Yeah.
But we do have a chance now. Now, we have a chance to blow all of this stuff up and get it over once and for all. And buddy, the tentacles of the deep state, as you saw, Jason, with these career foreign service people.
Yeah.
I mean, the tentacles of this run so deep in every branch of government, in every area of government. You've got professional public service people that don't get elected to squat, that have been there 20, 30 years, and they are the kings of their fiefdoms. Yep. And the president doesn't mean anything to them. He doesn't.
Now, Larry, we're getting some more information from our viewers on Periscope about the Brett Kimberlin question. And I'm reminded that Lee Stranahan has done a deep dive into Brett Kimberlin's recent activity. He's been helping Alexandra Chalupa. He helped her basically hack the election. And Mark Levin was talking about this in the recent past, a day or two ago, questioning why this DNC consultant, Alexandra Chalupa, was not called as a witness at the impeachment hearings. I fully support Lindsey Graham's approach to treating it like a court case because, you know, when we strip away the protections of due process and the rights that we each have in court, that's when somebody like Adam Schiff can conduct a process like that. The whole purpose of due process is to prevent unjust proceedings and to prevent people from getting railroaded like that. So this is an interesting question about Brett Kimberlin. And do you know anything about Alexandra Chalupa, Larry? These are a lot of names that have been pretty much suppressed from the news.
Yes, as a matter of fact, she was one of the first people proposed by the Republicans to testify in the hearings.
Oh, really? By the Republicans, right?
Yeah, and she was blocked, of course, by Schiff.
Right.
They made 3 different attempts to bring her before the committee. And they blocked her. Blocked the Republicans. She blocked them 3 times.
Yep.
They also asked, in connection with her, I don't know if this one's getting anybody screwed up or not, but in connection with her was Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
What about Debbie Wasserman Schultz?
Of course, well, you remember the A1 brothers or whatever.
Absolutely.
And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was involved with them in a thing they call cross-step.
Cross-step.
Cross-step. You haven't heard it, you won't hear it until it comes up in the trial. But that was this process by which they were given an open door to not only the DNC computer stuff, but to all the computer stuff that was rated secret and below.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, there's a lot to come out, buddy. A lot.
Absolutely. I think viewers of Crowdsource the Truth remember Imran Awan very well. This was actually a story that intrigued me early on, right when I started Crowdsource the Truth, and actually became quite involved in his trial. We met Laurel Everly, who had rented a house from Imran Awan. Laurel provided us with testimony and evidence that indicated that Imran had something in a shed connected to the garage that required air conditioning. Computer servers require air conditioning if they're going to run continuously. He's been accused of the U.S. Capitol Police of hacking Congress, warehousing the data. It's very curious that my former partner, as soon as we came out with this story, went to the house and made sure to show his audience a shed in the backyard that was definitely not the shed that Laurel alleged this computer server to be in. Larry, we also identified a Cox Cable high-speed internet router in the basement that the renter was unaware of, and she told us a story about Imran, quote, freaking out when she called him to tell him there was a flood in the basement, and she felt his reaction was intense to the idea of a flood in an essentially empty basement, but it makes a lot more sense if he's got computer equipment in the basement that he's utilizing in a hacking operation. It's also notable, Larry, that when I drove Laurel Everly to the U.S. Capitol Police with a laptop and cell phone that she alleged that Imran Awan had hacked, right away, social engineers began making videos accusing me of destroying evidence. I never touched it. I just drove her to the police, and the police handled it. The police, Larry, gave the evidence directly to Imran Awan's defense attorney, creating a, what's the term, unintentional disclosure, inadvertent disclosure situation that came up in the courtroom. And Chris Gowan, the unscrupulous attorney who also hired Imran Awan to work in his office while serving as defense attorney, told me that I had done something wrong. I just drove a witness to the police station. I can't control the police.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, we're going to find out if we are successful in the trial. We're going to find out the answer to a lot of things, Jason. A lot of things. And it goes back to Joe and all of them. This is not new. This whole thing is not new. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And you're going to find out why this president has been so viciously under attack. You're going to find out.
Yep. Larry, our comments right now are very focused on Imran Awan. People saying everything from Imran has flipped, which is possible, I suppose. I don't know. I think guys like that are more concerned with getting killed. But he was given an unprecedented plea bargain deal where he's given total immunity for any crimes that he's done prior to July 5th or whatever the date of his court, or July 8th, whatever his court date was in 2018. Any crime that Imran Awan has done in his life, I believe he's 34 years old or something like that, he's absolved of that as a result of pleading guilty to this bank fraud for which he's been given just probation, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. And that, see, all of this connects. Now, here again, we go back to, I've told y'all for months now, our judicial branch of government has already succumbed to communism and socialism. It already has. The things you see today, folks, in the courts, the things you see in our government, all that has to do with legal, that seems so strange and foreign to us, you're guilty of being prove yourself innocent, that type of stuff. That's done every day in a communist socialist country, in a dictator country. I mean, it's done every day. We're not used to it here because we didn't want that here. But our judicial branch of government is gone. Now we're fighting for the legislative branch of government. There are those that think it's already gone. And it may very well be less a few brave souls that are still fighting to hang on. The good news is the glue that's holding this country together, Jason, and I'm not a person sitting here saying Donald Trump's the greatest gift God's given this earth since whatever. I'm not saying that at all. But for the times that we're in today, for what we need today, we couldn't have a better person in control of the executive branch.
I agree.
He's tough, and he doesn't give up, and he doesn't give in. And that's why we must do everything in our power come election day in November 2020 to make sure everybody gets out the votes. Everybody. Because you're going to vote this election season whether you want to or not. If you don't go vote, folks, and you're listening to this program right now, because I know that if you're listening to this program, except for those that are trolls, if you're listening to this program and you don't vote, you did vote. You voted for whoever the Democrats want. Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want.
I got to say, Larry, I'm feeling, 3 years into having voted for Donald Trump, I'm feeling even better about Donald Trump today than I did when I voted for him. I have to say, in many ways, if not in every way, he's my favorite president of my lifetime so far. He's challenging the deep state criminals. He's exposing the hypocrisy of Washington and of the press. And I think that there have been some very consequential changes and things that have happened under Donald Trump that there's no doubt that I'm voting for him again. And I'll be really extremely upset if he does not win a second term. A lot of people are still chatting about Imran Awan, Larry, and I know you have a lot of experience in a variety of different court cases. People are going back and forth on this idea of Awan possibly having flipped based on this plea arrangement that he got in 2018. Does that make sense to you that Imran Awan would have flipped, or that he's just off and we're never going to hear from him again?
Let me tell you, if indeed, folks, somebody like him, with his brother out of country, his mother out of country, if he flipped, it's in some minuscule matter. He did not flip to reveal the words. I assure you, he did not do that. People like him will not. Because I know people like him. He's got a brother, and he's got a mother. If he were to flip, and I'm talking about bring it all out. If he were to do that, his family would be killed. They would be sought out, tortured, and killed. They may have them now. They may be locked up in some dungeon right now. We don't know. Maybe not, but I'm just saying. There's no way that man has given up everything that we need to know. No way.
Yeah, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is still in there.
Well, she's still in there, and you'll notice I guess I can say, I shouldn't say this, but I'll say this. You'll notice he got a pardon, correct? I mean, not pardon, but he got a
Plea deal.
plea deal. Right. He got real easy plea deal for him for the crimes he's committed.
Right.
You'll notice they didn't put him in witness protection.
Right.
And he had gone all the way. They'd had him in federal witness protection. We wouldn't hear from him ever again.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
that's not being in, so take it for what it's worth.
Right. And I mean, he's pretty connected. He's been pictured with Bill Clinton, a variety of other people. So, you know, it's been speculated that he could be a member of the Pakistani ISI. Pakistan has been a strategic ally to the United States with regard to the war in Afghanistan and, you know, just managing the balance of power in the region against India. I don't know. Hard to say.
Jason, think about it. Just think about it. If he has nothing else, on earth, but he got all off the computer from both the DNC, the RNC, and the government period, all the data he got that he snuck in and hacked, right? That's massive, buddy. That's massive. And inside that is the key to Pandora's box. You talk about a man with leverage. He's got leverage.
Yeah. Virgo raises the very good point, Larry, that they're transferring this to Gerald Nadler because Adam Schiff is almost definitely going to be called as a witness, and he would not be able to continue in his position as the chair. So it just seems like more maneuvering, really, to continue this lawfare attack against the president. I know that people are very interested in all of the different insights and the angles that you bring to our attention, Larry. We're almost out of time for this week's broadcast. Is there anything that you want to say before we close?
Well, you know, I'd like to say today, these very special folks, I hate to do this, I hate to beg like a bum on the street, but if y'all can help today, it's very important. We need a little help. If you can, please.
Yeah.
And I would remind everybody that crowdsourced truth is a very important vehicle for me. Some of you may not know it, but you're getting information that nobody else has. Nobody. I bring it here, and if you look at what I say and look at what comes, you'll find that they're always consistent, or usually, most of the time. The problem I have, Jason, is I deal in truth, right? And the truth takes its time sometimes to come out.
Right.
You know, we're not making stuff up. But we need crowdsourced truth. We need it. It's listener sponsored. It's not controlled by some major advertiser. And that's where most of the people, most of the things you see, most of the big time programs you see, they're so leveraged with their sponsors and advertisers, they can pull the plug on what they say at any time and you'll never know it.
Yeah.
You'll never know it.
Well, we've seen that recently with ABC News. They didn't want to release that information about Epstein. But just to add to what you're saying, Larry, you're not begging. You come on this show, you present people with information, with facts, with opinion. Even if people disagree, even if people think what you're saying is not correct, this is an analysis that you are doing based on decades of government experience, military experience, and you have your unique insights and point of view. And every week when we do the show, Larry, we've got almost 1,000 people watching us now. So whether people come here because they want to disagree with you, whether they come here to be informed by the information that you share, or simply just to hear your point of view, to add to the collection of information that they will use to determine what they think the best outcome, the best evaluation is, you are providing a valuable service. So anytime that you remind people to go to paypal.com and use your PayPal email address, nicholslive@aol.com, to send financial support your way, you are not begging, my friend. You are reminding people that we do not have corporate sponsors. We do not have corporate advertisers. And this type of material cannot be monetized outside of the process that we're advocating here, which is viewer-supported sponsorship. So I hope that people watching will go to PayPal and send Larry some money via nicholslive@aol.com. Larry is here providing his insights, and I know that there's lots of people around the country and around the world who love to hear what Larry has to say, to hear his insights, and just the way that you and I interact, Larry. I've come to value it tremendously, and I want to thank you once again for joining me this week. I hope, Larry, you'll have an excellent Thanksgiving with your family there in Arkansas, and we'll be back next Tuesday. And with that, Larry, I want to thank you and our audience and all the generous sponsors who have supported you in the past, and I hope we'll pick up some new ones. Let's see if even 5 people who have never visited paypal.com before or utilized Nichols Live at AOL to send Larry some money. Let's just get 5 people to do that today. We're before the holidays here. Larry could really use your help. And Larry, thanks so much for today's broadcast.
You bet, and happy Thanksgiving to all.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week, Larry. Thanks, everybody. Don't miss More Pain tonight at 8 p.m. on Patreon, and subscribe.
I want to bring in now former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon, the host of the new syndicated radio show and podcast.
Okay, folks, just a sec. Give me a minute to get that other channel turned off.
We'll talk about that later, but first, your reaction.
There it goes. So I don't know if you heard what I just said. Thanks for being here. I'm sorry, I'm not banging on the keyboard unless I was typing something in the chat here. So I'm sorry. I just sent Larry the link to join us. Oh, thanks, Gloria, for your correction. I was wondering what the Amaru was. It's Mary Ellen. Okay. Yikes, I can't see through my glasses. I don't know if Larry's going to join us or not. He just got done with Jason, and we'll see if he can come on. I'm waiting to see if he can join us, and I'm sorry about the typing occasionally when I was trying to put something in the chat for you guys. I do have the phone here in case he needs to call in. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know if he's going to be able to join us or not, but did you all get to hear him when he was with Jason? I posted a couple times the link to Jason's show directly, so you could do that. I also broadcast it here. I hope you're able to hear the whole thing. I guess, should I call Larry? Maybe I'll call him and just see if he can try coming in, and just let him know that I did send the link. So I'm trying to get, somebody's calling me from California. I think it's a moving company. So you're welcome, Annie. I'm glad I was able to figure out that we could stream. Hey, do you want to come on our show or not? Okay, all right. Let me plug in the speaker, the microphone. Just give me a sec. Hang on, I got too many wires here crisscrossing. Just hold on a second. I gotta untangle these wires. I didn't think they were tangled, but they got tangled. Just a sec. Sound up, speaker on. Yeah, okay. This is Tuesday, November the 26th. So in 2019. So go ahead, Larry, you're on. Whoa, I can't hear you. Hang on. Oh, I thought I didn't have you on speaker. I thought I did. Now you can go.
Okay, folks, sorry I'm late. I was trying to get on through the link and I couldn't. I was trying to get off with Jason and I couldn't. So anyway, I'm here now. Today is getting ready for Thanksgiving, folks. Today is a day of 2 days, isn't it, Mary Ellen, before Thanksgiving? I've lost track of time.
Yes, sir. 2 more days.
2 more days. You know, sometimes we get so tied up in all the bad and things that are going on that we don't take a little breath, take a little time, and count our blessings and realize that, you know, we still have it pretty good. But when I say that, it's incumbent to say to all of us that I don't want this to be the last Thanksgiving we have when we all feel good about it, or still have something to feel good about. I don't want that. I'm troubled by what's going on in Washington, as I know you are. I'm involved, fortunately or unfortunately, depending, more than any of you in what's going on. But I do promise you, from the things that I have seen, the things that I am seeing, we are going to have our day. We are going to have our day. You know, I've heard over and over that people are concerned that the IG report, for example, is not going to be a big deal. I've heard that moving the Intelligence Committee being in control of the impeachment hearing over to the Judicial Committee under Nadler, that means there's some trick that nobody knows about coming. None of that's true. None of it's true. The FISA report, the Inspector General report, FISA report, is going to be a big deal. It's already a big deal just from what has leaked out about an FBI official forging and doctoring the record on the FISA. It can't be anything less than a big deal. When all you've got to do is look at the signatures on these FISA reports, Comey, Rosenstein, the list goes on. It's a big deal. It's a big deal that was an instrument used to frame a president. You know, I was just on with Jason, and I was telling that President Trump, the administration, they are planning an actual lawsuit against CNN. They are. They have found a statute, a niche in the law that will give them the window they need to basically return fire to CNN for all the lies and all the distortions of the truth that they've told. I hope it works. I do. But that too will take time. It will take time. And towards that lawsuit, to be honest, we really don't have enough time for it to progress to any extent prior to the election. But it's important that he's filing it. Very important. that we've used with every president. If this is not firmly put down, if this is not exposed, whichever party is the out party to the next president or whatever, it'll be tried again, over and over and over. It will be spread around the world to democracies that are friends of ours, such as Israel. How do you think they got Benjamin Netanyahu charged with a crime? Same way. They started a detailed witch hunt going back to the day he was born. He and his wife turned over every stone, every rock they could find, until finally they were able to trump up something that they think would suffice as a charge. They're doing it there just like here. The media hates Netanyahu in Israel, just like it hates Trump here. The media is an instrument of the anti-Netanyahu wing in Israel, just like the media is against Trump here. This has got to end, or we do. It's just got to. Removing the case or the impeachment hearing, the hearings being opened in the judicial committee, I believe, my opinion, based off an educated opinion from the conversation I've been involved with, that this is the committee to properly introduce a motion to impeach the president for trial in the Senate. So they're shifting it over. At the same time, it gives Nadler and his bunch of creeps another round, you see, another round of these nebulous, rigged, contrived hearings to beat the public with. Another round, and they'll do it all over again. All over again. So get ready. And then I would remind you all, the president wants this to go to the Senate. He wants them to bring it to the Senate and have a Senate trial. And if the Senate holds true with Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and status in the back, the Senate trial will be conducted under the rules of court, of law that's done every day. Now, if it is, you need to understand the magnitude of that. If that's the way the court is run, do you understand that every witness except Simon, every witness they brought forth in the hearings under Schiff will not be allowed to testify in a Senate trial? Not one. Not a one. You see, it's hearsay. So let me ask you, if you don't have any of the people that were brought before Schiff, if not a one of them, are allowed to testify in the Senate trial, then what case exists against the president? What case would exist? Now, you do have Sondland. You got him, but his actual testimony says that when he talked to Trump, Trump said no quid pro. He didn't want anything, just for him to do right. So what case can be brought before the Senate? Can anybody tell me? What charge can be brought before the Senate? Can anyone tell me that?
They're saying done.
Right. Now, don't let truth and don't let obvious stand in the way of stupid. I'm sure they'll find something to come forward with in some way. But in actual actuality, all you got to do is just X's and O's, all right? Just X's and O's. It either is or it isn't. It's just 1 or 0. If none of those witnesses can testify, what charge can possibly be brought against the president? None. So then, we should be able to finally, even though the media is going to play it up every which way but Sunday, that he's guilty of something, no matter what it is, they're going to try, and they're going to play it, they're going to play it, and they're going to play it. Hopefully, there will be enough people in America that have been mesmerized by the propaganda, by the brainwashing in the media, that maybe some will snap out of it and be forced to face the truth. That's item number 1. Number 2, they're getting ready. They are planning right now for the next attack against the president. Remember I told you, there were 3. One was Russia, one was no quid pro quo. Now here comes the 3rd one. It's getting ready to come. I cannot tell you more than that, much more than that. I will tell you it has to do with some things they're going to say about, quote unquote, the Middle East, countries in the Middle East, something about that I won't go any further. They're just going to keep doing this, and doing it, and doing it, and doing it, with the hopes that every time they do it, they knock a little bit of support out from under Trump. Just a little bit more. And then theoretically, if that can happen, and each month they knock a little more support out from under him, then theoretically, by November 2020, they might have put such a hold in his soft base of voters that he loses. That's their game plan. I just see on television, again, it says, I suspect the Democrats after Thanksgiving will call for a censure of the president. As I told y'all yesterday, folks, that'll be kind of hard to do in that there is no such statute under law to put the president in censure. So, with that, Mary Ellen, let's go to any questions. Anybody got any?
Well, I'm going to ask one. If they're not going to be able to censor because it's not anything under law, but has that stopped them?
Well, it will stop them in that there will be no law that they can cling to. Yeah, I mean, they can say it, but to censor him, you have to have a statute. You have to quote a statute to actually censor him. You see, saying it ain't going to work. I assure you, saying it will not work. I have to. I got 10 from Teresa. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much.
Okay, before I ask you any of the questions that are here, I'm just going to remind everybody that Larry's PayPal is nicholslive@aol.com. If you go to the website nicholslive.com, just using his last name for both, there on the donate page, there is the link directly to his PayPal. There's his address. You can send cash only. If you need to send a check, send a text message to the phone number that's there on the website, 240-499-6729, and I'll help you figure out another way to donate. Dallas is wondering if they're just chipping away at the independent voters.
I would say that, except the fact that there are not that many independent, well, I would say there's a lot of independent voters. But today, there are not many voters, period, independent or otherwise, that have not got an opinion one way or the other on President Trump.
Yeah.
But it is the independent voter that is for Trump that makes up a good part of the soft base for Trump.
James asked, is Debbie Wasserman Schultz actually a Pakistani spy?
If she's not, she ought to be. If she's not on their payroll, she ought to be. She's certainly done a good job for them, not for us, for them.
Okay, you guys, hang on the questions. I can't be keeping up here, so just hold off on any more until we get through a few of these. Rain asks, can there be an executive order against the Smith-Muntz Act?
You know, yes, there can. Yes, there can, but it will be stricken by the Ninth Circuit. So it would be futile to do it.
Is the media run by the State Department?
Not by the State Department. It's run by the deep state, which is run by the Progressive Council. And to the question before this, I may have spoken out of turn in that I'm not sure I understand what the act for sure is. I got 25 commands. Thank you, Ann. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ann.
So anyway, but even no matter if I'm wrong, even if they do any executive order at this moment in time, we know will be suspended by the Ninth Circuit.
Okay, Rain also asked, there's a House resolution to impeach Congress Congress members who are not upholding their oath. Do you know anything about that?
Well, they can call, members can call for the censoring of a member of Congress. I don't think they can call for the impeachment of a member of Congress. That has to be done in a writ of mandamus by the people of the district to which they serve. Congress can bring a censure charge up, but then that goes to the ethics committee, which is controlled by the Democrats, who have no weight.
Okay, Rain also asked, can't the executive branch shut down an impeachment hearing or an impeachment because it's a legal proceeding, because it's not a legal thing, but a political thing?
No. Separation of powers expressly prohibits that.
Okay,
That would mean, so that y'all understand, that would mean the executive branch would have power over the legislative branch. And by our Constitution, they are co-equals in power. So no, the executive branch cannot order or have legal control of the legislative branch or vice versa, supposedly. What else?
okay, Gloria asked, what's going on with Pompeo? Just a question of whether he's trustworthy.
You know, folks, that's not an area I deal in much, other than obviously through the Ukrainian situation. But at this time, I don't necessarily fear Pompeo. I don't absolutely trust him. But as you all should know by now, I don't trust anybody walking around in Washington. With one exception, technically, not the president, of course.
Rain also asked, he thought that the 116th Congress brought articles of impeachment against Obama secretly.
That is a lie.
Ellie asked, are they going against Nunes?
It's who's going against Nunes.
I didn't see. I don't know if I think she just said, are they?
They would like to go at Nunes, but they're using the media to go at Nunes. And the media is fixing to get a little bit of theirs back because Nunes is filing a suit against CNN for damages for what they have said that is not true. And they knew it was not true when they put it on the air. Now, folks, that's a big kicker in a lot of slander suit. It's one thing if they put something out that turns out not to be true against a public figure. But if they put something out that's not true against the public figure, and this is the way the statute reads, if they put something out against a public figure that they know was not true and has the express purpose of harming the public figure, then they can be sued, and they are going to be. Nunes has them cold on that.
Okay. C. Jacobs was asking if you know anything about a shutdown of air traffic near the White House this morning.
There was an emergency, and they locked it down. I don't know about the air traffic part, but there was a bag found, and they did have a lockdown procedure take place, but it turned out to be nothing, and it's open back up.
Okay. Gloria's wondering if this third case has to do with Syrian oil and finances with Trump, I guess.
No, that's not, and I cannot tell you what it is yet. I'm restricted from it. But that's not it. That I can tell you. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I'm just telling you that's not it. I'm going to give you this because I screwed up and gave it on Jason, so therefore I guess I can tell you I'm in trouble anyway. It will have to do with actions in the Middle East in the 25th Amendment. There.
What is the role Gowdy's doing now, having joined the presidential team? Actually, I guess he doesn't join until January, but do you know what he's
I
going
have
to?
not been exposed to him, so I don't know. I don't know exactly what place he's going to fit. I hope they change their mind before they do actually put him in, but that's me. I have no say in it, so it doesn't matter what I think in this matter.
How is the IG report going to be shared with the public?
There's going to have a drop. They will print out probably, I would think, several hundred of the reports, and they will have them there for the media to pick up. I think it's going to be the 9th. I might be wrong about that exact date. Remember, I'm one that says don't keep using the date certain. But as it is tentatively planned, between the 9th and the 11th, there will be a drop. And at the drop, it will be, the whole report will be released at one time. There will be hundreds of them printed, and the media will come and grab them. And they'll start the minute they pick it up in their hands, going on the air and trying to fill you in with the juicy tidbits from it. And I will tell you in advance, if you watch CNN or MSNBC, ABC, NBC, or CBS, what they read out of that report and what you will probably see in Fox out of that report and from conservative media, it'll sound like there are two different reports.
Anthony's asking.
It will be made, by the way, I am told it will be made public on the internet for everyone to read.
I hope we'll find out how to do that. Anthony is saying, after all the trouble from the left since the last election, can we ever trust our government officials again?
I just got start thinking about trusting the government once again.
Stompin' Warrior says,
I'll tell you this, folks. One thing that will go a long, long way to us being able to trust our government ever again will be if we, the people, rise up on November 20th as we can with our votes. If we rise up loud and strong, we're going to have a major effect on trust from the government.
I think, Larry, I think we need to do that sooner than that. It's really imperative who gets voted back who gets voted to be the candidate during the primaries. If we want to get rid of these incumbents that have been career politicians, that will happen at the primary level.
Yes, I agree.
So,
and it's important that we make them fear us. That's what's wrong. They don't fear us now.
Yeah.
If we don't get them back working for us and make them afraid of us, if they don't do what we want, we'll never get it back.
Do you know anything about the E clause?
No.
And C. Jacobs is wondering if the ET disclosure will be a topic for release to the public.
ET, are you talking extraterrestrial?
That's usually what that means.
I don't know. That's not an area I'm involved in. I'm not saying we're just written or anything like that. I'm just saying that's an area I'm not involved in.
Yeah. Will the hole the Democrats are digging following rules for radicals, will that become their grave that they can't get out of in 2020?
We can pray that that's true. We can all say a big prayer and hope that that's true. But again, that all depends on us. That depends on how loud we are. Us.
MJ is suggesting forcing term limits, but the only way to do that is if we get new people in. One of the things we did in 2016 was we had a contract that you could take to your representative who was running for Congress. And part of that contract was to say that they promised to vote for term limits.
The only way we'll get term limits is when Congress is willing to place term limits on themselves. And the only way that will come is when they're afraid of us.
Right.
We don't get rid of career politicians, folks. We are doomed. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the next day. But we are doomed if we don't get rid of career politicians.
Mike asked, where is Bloomberg's allegiance?
His allegiance is to Mike Bloomberg and to his liberal wing. As you can imagine, I do not see, and I have not seen, so that you know, I have not seen Bloomberg as a part of the Progressive Council. I think he is just a true, sickening liberal. I have nothing against liberals, but when you go as far as he has, that sort is too far. I don't think he has a chance of buying his way in to being the nominee for the Democratic Party. But I'm seeing things every day that I've never seen before, so I guess he didn't rule anything out.
All right. Sean suggests Trump would be greater if he maintained a more composed disposition. His manners make misunderstandings with people who don't understand what he means, or don't understand that he means no harm or hate. My reaction to that is, we wanted somebody who would be different, and he's very different. And yes, there are people who misunderstand, but I think there's an awful lot that he's doing that we appreciate. And he's so in your face. I think some of us really appreciate that.
Well, I would add to that involved in discussions, I guess we'd say, that we should let President Trump be President Trump. I don't think we're going to change him anyway. But he has not performed well when he tried succumbing to the handlers and doing what they said. So I think it's best for all of us to let Donald Trump be Donald Trump. And yes, there are times when he does stuff that I wish maybe he wouldn't have, but gosh, if somebody was hanging over me for every mistake I make in a day, I'd be in trouble. What else you got?
Okay, Rain wants me to read what he said. The Constitution provides expressly for 3 methods by which federal government officials can be removed from office. Elected officials may be defeated for re-election or by election. Members of Congress may be expelled, and judicial and executive officers may be removed on impeachment. So, you know, you were talking about legislators being impeached. That's
Right.
not possible.
Right.
So I guess he's recognizing that's right. And the E clause.
If I'm in any way at odds with the official Constitution version of it, always go with the Constitution, not me.
Yeah.
What else?
Mike is recognizing that they decided they wanted to impeach him before he even got into office. You've been saying that since July 2016.
Knew that from the day he was elected.
Well, we knew that.
It wasn't prior to that.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, if you'll recall, well, there was a moment, if you'll recall, when there was a lot of discussion by Hillary whether if he lost, whether he would accept the loss. That was the time that that discussion was going on. There were flippant conversations about, well, what if he won? Would he accept it? And the answer was no, and they lived up to their no. What else?
That's all we've got right now.
And I'm going to have to do something here. I'm going to hang up and call you back in about 3 minutes. But I've got to take this call. It has to do with health issues.
Okay, go ahead.
But I'll call you right back.
Okay, hon.
To talk to them.
Yep. All right, folks. While he's off, let me just remind you. Oh, I'm sorry, Rain, for the picture is so small I can't see your picture. So forgive me for using the wrong gender for you. I'm so sorry. You have lightning in Conway. So Lord, protect Ellie, protect Larry and his family. And we thank you for protection around them and anybody else of our listeners who live in that area that might be facing the lightning as well. Anthony, looks like Roger Stone will spend many years in prison. Any chance of a pardon? I think Larry has said, Gloria, maybe you can correct me. I think Larry has said a pardon might be appropriate, but we're not far along enough in that process yet because we're still waiting for sentencing and so on. So, Desert Marcos, I can't imagine any other citizen able to withstand the amount, level, and intensity of attacks on Trump. And then I didn't see the before it. He's been amazing. Yes, absolutely. Okay, you're back on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and I really need help today. So folks, if you can, please chip in.
Do you use do you use the albuterol inhaler?
Mhm.
Okay, Anthony, the address is on the website, but it's 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas 72034. 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas 72034. And I was calling Rain he, and she is not. So I made that mistake. James is saying Trump's a New Yorker. They fight hard when they fight back. So that's partly,
They do.
yes.
And they have as a mannerism,
Yeah.
sort of an in-your-face attitude. It's almost humorous when I go to New York or the times I've been there. It's almost like they're play acting it so in your face. But it's not. They're not playing. What else we got?
And that's all we've got right now. I'm just going to remind you guys that Larry's PayPal, he needs help immediately. His PayPal is nicholslive@aol.com, and nicholslive.com is the website, and it's got a direct link to his PayPal. It's got his mailing address. And please remember, when you mail funds, it has to be cash only. If you're going to use any other method, you need to text 240-499-6729. I'll talk to you about a way to donate. We do have a way to use Zelle now, which is directly from your bank to my Bank of America account that I can immediately send back over to Larry. And so we've tried that twice now. The first time I didn't have it set up, so I wasn't able to get those funds. We had to do something else, but it's now set up. So if any of you use Zelle, that is a possibility. But again, text me for that information. If you have a large donation that you don't want to send through PayPal, we have used Western Union and Walmart to Walmart. Checks can be made out to me with Larry's name in the memo line, and we have done that as well. But I don't give that out unless you text me, and I just do it directly to you.
By the way, if there's anybody hoping to make a large donation, today would be a good day to do it. So if you were planning to do it, today would be a wonderful day. We're in the middle of a storm here. And if power's flickering, if the power goes off, my oxygen goes off. So I probably had better get off unless there's some questions.
Yeah, let's, MJ would like you to talk about Debbie Wasserman Schultz and cross step, but can we hold that off? Rain is asking, how much do you need?
Yeah, 600 would be a good start.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, folks.
Yeah, let's.
Wasserman Schultz, listen, she is going to come back up again in that she and the A1 brother ordeal was a big part of a lot of this that's happening today. A big part. I can't go into detail, but she's going to come back up, and there's going to be problems for her. There's going to be problems for her.
I think
she will not be granted any kind of immunity, I assure you. At least not this time.
I think that I would imagine there are lots of us here that would think that's a really good thing. All right, Larry, I'm going to let you go, and I'll just wrap it up.
All right, folks, and plus it's been 2 hours of talking for me, which is
That's a lot for you.
kind of a lot for my lungs. They just can't hold up to this. So
Yeah.
anyway, folks, I will see you tomorrow, I hope.
Yep.
But thank you all.
Thanks, Larry. God bless you. You know I'm here. All right, that's it for him, and that's. Let's see, Johnny, I did see your text. Rain, I will check that he gets it, and Rain, text me your full name or whatever your email address is, or whatever you used on PayPal. I'll verify right now. Text me 240-499-6729. 6729. 240-499-6729. And Johnny, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to call him and double check, and I will text you back. And Raina, I will check with him about you as well. So thanks, folks. We will be back. I'll be back tomorrow. And if Larry cannot be, I will invite Ellie back. And so thank you for your prayers, folks, especially with the weather being what it is. You know, if his power goes out, we got a problem. I am planning to, yes, thanks, Mike. My 6 doesn't work on my computer. So thank you, folks. I will make sure that Larry gets a generator when I get my house sold. So, Rain, my number, Mike just put it up to 2 comments above yours right now. So look at Mike, and you can get it right there. It's also on the website, 240-499-6729. All right, that's it. Thanks. I'll be back tomorrow. God bless you. Bye.